just keep sharing poems from this book from the periodic table of poetry. And I have in this book not only ones for elements out here, this one's called hydrogen, this one's called oxygen. I also have bonus ones if you would have things like, I have phosphorus, and right next to it on the page I've got white phosphorus, or I've got a sulfur one and I did an additional one. So I'm going to share with you two bonus poems that were from it. They're not just straight up element poems. And if anybody wants to have a request for one in the middle, my little lady who keeps giving me element poems, she's not here right now, but this first one is called, it's actually about the element, called Smelling Sulfur on 911. I'm a journalist. I can remember the sounds from the newsroom as I finished my articles at one of the computers. I could still hear the sounds of the bustling and the rustling toward a deadline. The shuffling of papers was a common presence whenever you worked. Hearing that low hum, the din of action and activity, is almost comforting to types like us. It was the bass line of the symphony of our lives. So, when you hear the news 911, you think of a number to dial when you hear of gun violence in these Chicago streets. You smell the sulfur and the gunpowder, another sense that accentuates the center of this world around us. But on a beautiful sunny day like today, you come into a newsroom in the early morning, and the sound of action is yet to truly penetrate your ears of the reporters, with a styrofoam coffee cup in your hand, a couple pages of edited copy in the other. But on this one sunny morning, the din was different, much more cacophonous, but much more rushed, while still so hushed. I had made my way to one of the TV sets along the main wall. All were on different channels, showing different bits of news, although all suddenly seemed the same. It looked like the newsroom was watching a movie as smoke poured from one of the Twin Towers. I tried to make out the voices from one of the TV sets when I witnessed a plane right before my eyes fly into the other tower. I stood for a moment, transfixed like some horror movie addict, before I thought of our contacts scattered along the East Coast. I pulled out my cell phone and speed dialed Mark in New York. He had a meeting scheduled in the Twin Towers that morning, but the phones were jammed, so I dialed up Don, who was in the town for that week, but all was lost to a computer-simulated voice, forcing me to leave messages and scramble from afar. As pathetic as we were, we stared at TVs as most forms of communication were cut off for us, and all we could do is see this attack on New York. We struggled to discover until less than 40 minutes later. We saw the 2-second-long film replayed repeatedly from a DC security camera that caught a collision course crashing of a plane through the outer rings of the Pentagon. Well, now the story has changed. Try to get through to Dan in D.C., but he was in the Pentagon today, so maybe guess, well, oh God, I tried, but the phones are still cut off there as well. So we scrambled for any data, looking for a Chicago connection, the Sears Tower, the John Hancock Building. Those are national icons that may be under attack. But before we gain our bearing, only 20 minutes passed before a plane crashed into the ground near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Shanksville, I thought. I know someone there. I searched and found Anna's number, but who was I kidding? Those lines were cut off, too. It's a strange feeling, being a reporter and not being able to contact a single person, being detached from any lead, coupled with a sinking feeling, wondering if any of the people you know are physically hurt or even alive. As a journalist, you really feel hopeless, like your hands are tied behind your back. We give the news. We're not supposed to feel so stranded. An hour after the Pentagon was attacked, the Sears Tower was evacuated. This wasn't my beat. I had no contacts, no one to help me through this disaster. So I waited there in case others needed any assistance. I sat back for a moment, left there to wait, thinking about Mark and Don in New York, Dan in D.C., and even poor Anna. I'm sure she's not hurt, but they're now cut off to me. As I said, all I could do was wait. Clear your head of the people, I could hear myself saying to myself. You're a reporter. Just break down the details of what you see instead of thinking of this as another one of your human interest articles. The jet fuel, the drywall, all that paper in those offices, those people trapped. They're all hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. But wait a minute. In Chicago, I think of the sulfur smell when it comes to gunfire. The jet fuel is sulfur-laden. The burning drywall emits sulfur gas. Sulfur is even the third most common mineral in the human body. I mean, I'm a newspaper reporter. I know that sulfur-based compounds are used in pulp and paper production. Yeah, I'm a newspaper reporter. Just take a breath and turn your head to the stats. Just clear your head of the humanity, the thought of so much sulfur being so much a part of so many details in our lives. It makes me think of the destruction, the sulfur that is so much a part of today. I know I stayed here to give a helping hand, but with all this sulfur on my mind, suddenly, all I could smell was the burning, and I couldn't stop coughing, and while I tried to catch my breath. I think I performed that once, and they're like, are you actually a journalist? I'm like, yeah, I actually was. And she said, you describe newsrooms, and I'm like, well, it's been a while since I've been a reporter, but I just thought of that, and what would that all be like? And before I do another one, does anybody have a request? Pick a number, or not, or something.
Praseodymium.
Praseodymium. Because I'll have to look it up and find it, I will look it up, Praseodymium. But I'm gonna, and that one will actually be an element poem, because this one will be another bonus one, because I'm not going to do phosphorus, which is right there. I'm going to do white phosphorus, which is right next to it on the page. I have to do my compounds. This is white phosphorus. Seeing bombs from Vietnam and the white smoke rising with each bomb exploding, I knew that smoke. It was Willie Pete, white phosphorus. You couldn't put it out once it started burning. This stuff would destroy the forests foreign to us U.S. troops. I know you can't understand, but I wanted you to know that I haven't felt close to anyone or anything for years. It sounds sick, but seeing that footage, seeing that white smoke from that file footage, it brought it all back to me. It brought the emotions flooding back to me like it was yesterday. Everything that seemed so volatile about that war, in a way, has become a part of me, right down to my DNA. You look at your TV screen and you think it makes no sense, but it's a part of me. I know I'm old now. I know it's only a small part of me, but I know I need it. I can't explain why, but I do. When you see that destruction of Willie Pete, yeah, we know what it was, white phosphorus, but we all call it that. It just gets easier to say Willie Pete. Well, anyway, when you see all of that destruction of that white phosphorus, you think of it as some existential level bad thing, like, oh, violence is bad. But when I see those bombs going off, and when I think of what it was like to live in that war, that Willie Pete, that white phosphorus, to us, that was our key to getting through that hell. You can't understand, but that was the closest we had to getting out alive. He asked for ytterbium, and that's another one that starts with the letter Y. Oh, and I just happened to see it. 70 on page 190. I swear it wasn't, I knew it started with the Y. And this one, ytterbium, this is a weird one because it's used for, like, along with neodymium and a few other elements for making eyeglasses that you could. This is not in the poem, so I'm just sharing it with you. So that you can see, like, if you're doing blow torches and stuff, they have to have, like, super protective glasses. This is one of the elements that they use to make those glasses that you could see, and I think it's actually used for doing, like, projectors of things for movies, because I think that's both related in here, and I don't know if it says it. So this is ytterbium. I've searched for you. Though others may wait. Oh no, this isn't. Is that the one? I'm like, this isn't the one.
Praseodymium.
Praseodymium. That's the one I'm talking about. And I just kept saying, oh crap, now I have to find that one. No, I'm sorry, but we have time to go. Sorry, John. Praseodymium, and that's on page 170, and I'm 20 pages off. Oh, okay. And 170 is Praseodymium. 180. Sorry, we've got time to go, right? I give this explanation, I'm like, wait, that's the wrong one, that's Praseodymium. Here we go. I've got it already. I would set fire to my fingernail. I wanted my finger to be a human candle. She dropped another match into her glass. The flame sizzled as the drops of drink at the bottom quenched that flame. In a corner booth in this small club, the flame she aroused looked like any other table light. But if you looked too closely, the light would scorch your soul. It would burn your eyes hollow. That little piece of energy she held was so intense that you needed that praseodymium in your eyeglasses that you would be able to look for just another second. The flame she aroused looked like any other light, but she knew she was destined for the big screen, complete with the studio lighting and projector lights from the movie motion picture industry, broadcasting her to the world through the arc lights. So she struck another match at that side of the box. 6 or 7 lay in the cocktail napkin, 10 more at the bottom of her glass. She'd watched the reflection of the gemstones in rings across her fingertips, reflecting the flame. That yellow-green cubic zirconia on her fingers bounced the light off the flame in thousands of directions. She likes gemstones on her rings. She doesn't bother with big earrings or expensive necklaces. She looks at her hands. Because she likes rings, she can't help it. A few of those peridot-inspired stones were gifts from a loved one because they knew they were going to die soon. So she becomes the only one treating these rings like gravestones, even though no one had died yet. And the person that gave her those rings, she knew they want to be cremated, just so that you could see the flame dancing at her fingertip. She shook the match. She dropped it into her glass. Praseodymium. Thank you.